Well, good morning and welcome back to another week on the allotment. It's been a cooler week this week, mercifully. I've said before, I'm worried about the peas. Last year the peas scorched and we lost half the crop. So a week of slightly cooler weather, albeit still dry, has been much appreciated. And of course it's easier at work. So the past few days I've managed to get up here a little bit after work, and it's all about harvesting. Really pleased with the cauliflowers and the broccoli. A few broccoli have blown, but the cauliflowers particularly have been spectacular. I think Cheryl's a little bit cheesed off, spending her evenings in the kitchen already with all the blanching, etc. But she's coming up today to do a bit more picking on the blackberries. It's all about harvesting. I'll show you a few clips of what we've harvested this week. We've picked our first carrots. It really is a good year. We could do with some rain, that would help. But as we stand right now, just into July, it's going superbly well. I'm very happy. I said before, we haven't had any failures. Everything's growing well. The spring sown broad beans weren't good. Won't do that again. Waste of time. But yeah, really happy with how it's going. I've had the drone out already this morning. I shall see what the clips are like. Unfortunately, I can only see what I've videoed when I get it home. But then that's probably my technical lack of knowledge rather than the drone's fault. So let's have a look around the plot, do a sort of a mini tour, and I'll show you how it's going. So welcome along. Well, we'll start down this end as usual. The Bosch submersible pump doing its thing on the leaks first thing in the morning. Just giving that Granny Smith apple a good drink. Every time I come I have to tie the cucumbers in. Small cucumbers, but nothing anywhere near cropping yet. And coming round to the fig. The fig is in a sort of a patio slab box, so I try not to forget watering it, but it's developing nicely. The squashes filling out as they should, and I've got some pumpkins twice the size of a tennis ball already. Very happy with that. This raspberry, which I took from one of the suckers, we're cropping it. In fact, there's raspberries on it now. I have to be really swift picking the raspberries because the blackbirds are in like a flash. No blackberries. Oh, I have had a few blackberries actually, maybe half a dozen. And we're through to the main plot. The rose is just starting to put on a second flush. Brussels sprouts are coming on. Have to take that netting off soon. The dwarf French beans are okay. A couple of them, looking at it. The slugs, yeah, the slugs have had that one. There. But I've got more growing. Successional sowing is something I'm really getting a lot better at. I have another third sowing of brassicas going in the greenhouse. I've got more spring onion, more beetroot, More beans, although I don't know where I'm going to put the beans, but they're coming on nicely. And here you can see you do have to help them from time to time if the wind is against them. Oops. Not sure I'm helping there. Yeah, anyway, I'll come back to that. Can I edit that out? Right, tomatoes. Lots of tying in, lots of side shooting. In fact, stood here now I can see side shoots that need doing, but they are developing nicely. And we do have tomatoes. That's the Roma tomatoes. I've completely given up weeding the onions. Just got better things to do with my time. Main crop potatoes coming on nicely. Need to do more earthing up. I watched one of my videos back, the one for this time 2 years ago, and I lost a lot of my main crop potatoes because they were sitting on top of the earthing and they were exposed to the light. And I said to myself on the video, you know, you need to earth up better, be more conscientious. So maybe I should have another go at that. Estima, a second early potato. We are now picking the peas. Not major crops, but we might be able to do that today. I'm looking there, there's a bit of browning. Yeah. Anyway, I'll pick more today, that'll be good. Up to the top end of the plot. It's remarkable how much bigger the asparagus is this year than last. And of course next spring will be when I start picking it, and that'll be 3 years. Can't believe my patience. Must be getting older. Garlic and onions yet to be harvested. The onion shanks are still very green. And I have the second sowing of brassicas there, which we're now harvesting. And this week, or was it on the last video, I can't remember, I've put in some more brassicas, and there's some more cauliflowers to harvest today. Getting lots of courgettes. And then up this end, still getting a reasonable picking of strawberries. And up to the, I call it a cut flower bed. There's nothing here really that you could cut and put in a vase. So that's the shortcoming of it. But I'm not worried about that. I'm taking home dahlias and sweet peas for Cheryl to put in vases around the house. So she's very happy with the state of play. And as the sun rises on a beautiful July morning, the plot is looking abundant. Well, here's a nice problem to have. Terry's given me a cherry tree in this pot. I've got nowhere to put it. So I've come down along this edging between me and the golf driving range, and I think I'm going to take out that comfrey plant, put the cherry there, and then fan train it. Another exercise in exerting will over my fruit trees. Right, let's get that comfrey out. Well, the early morning sun isn't helping, but I hope you can see that it is now fan trained to a fashion. And then I've got that V, and here, with this branch here, that will form the third tier, and then this shoot here will come up, and that'll be it. So a little bit more work to do in a few months, but yeah, very happy with that. And it's in the ground now, so it'll get the water and the nutrients it needs, and I think it'll thrive. Something I omitted to mention as I walked up the plot was this row of tomatoes. They're called Borghese Principe, something like that. And I was growing them as a bush. So as you can imagine, it was a mass of growth. Lots and lots of side shoots that had grown into bigger stems, etc., etc. And they were starting to impinge on this row here. And I spoke to Bridget recently, and we both agreed that growing tomatoes as a bush outdoors is a risk. Firstly, you don't know if you're going to get the dry, hot weather required to turn them, for them to develop all that growth and then tomatoes and to ripen. And of course, all that tangled growth can also lead to humid conditions, which are a breeding ground for blight. So in the week, I cut them all down. Now it's put all that effort into growing all that growth, and now I've chopped it all off, and they're looking a little bit ragged, but I'm not too worried. I've got lots of tomato plants. I mean, these ones here couldn't look healthier. So anyway, we'll see, but I shan't be trying bush varieties outdoors. Terry, who's got a large polytunnel on the site, he grows all his as bushes, and they always give him a good crop, but that's because obviously they're in a polytunnel, which generates more heat and better conditions. So yeah, I've cut them down and we'll see what happens. And carrying on the tomato theme, just spent the last 10 minutes going along this row of Pomodoro plum tomatoes, cutting out all the leaf stems up to the first truss of tomatoes. So that lets a lot more sun, light and air in. Gives them the best chance they've got of not getting blight, because these are not blight resistant. And of course the other thing is that when you get up close and personal with your plants, you spot side shoots like this substantial one that is just detracting growth and energy from the plant into growing my tomatoes. Well, there's today's harvest. Very pleased with that. Right, well, I'm done. Long day. Lots done. Cheryl came up. Got lots of fruit picked. So it's all going well. Really good harvests. Best ever. But then it should be. Every year you should get better, shouldn't you? So, thanks for watching if you made it this far. I will be around next week. So, until then, look after yourselves. Take care. Bye for now.